when you've gone from friendship to work mode, you're getting to know each other in a different space entirely. Understanding expectations of each other, understanding what you're good at versus what I'm good at, and working all those things out, because you can't be good at everything. We're two completely different human beings.
Welcome to What They Say, the podcast where creative meets digital, work meets real life, and there's always a bit of chaos. Hosted by me, EL.
And me, Jess.
Best friends, business partners, and co-founders of They Say Studios. Each episode mixes unfiltered conversation, cultural insight,
and the kind of laughter that comes from knowing that you're not the only one figuring it out.
Hi, babes.
Hi. Are you okay?
Yes, I am okay.
Are you sure?
Yes, it's been quite the week. Are you okay?
Yeah, I've actually had a pretty chilled week.
Oh, lovely.
Chilled as in, you know, when you feel like you've done it the best you could.
Absolutely. Nice earrings. Where are they from?
Thank you. And other stories.
Lovely.
Yeah.
They do have that in Singapore, don't they?
Yeah.
Got a lovely big one in...
two stores, I think.
The lovely big one in Raffles.
Oh, I've not been to that one.
Best one?
Oh, I've just been to the one in Ion. Not that anyone would
No
know
one knows. Well, actually,
what
you'd
I'm
be
talking
surprised.
about.
A lot of people, if you're going to Singapore and you want to get any gold-plated squashed croissant earrings, then...
I'm repping the croissant, you know, they're
Raffles.
my favourite.
Also do a fantastic happy hour at Raffles. No, it's been a good week. It's been a bit of a chaotic week.
Tell me.
Well, obviously...
Tell us.
As you know, we, my husband and I, Jonathan, we do a lot of travelling. We, and I appreciate this is meant to be like a little bit of a business podcast / entrepreneurs, but we did always promise that we would be honest, didn't we? And give people...
Hopefully.
Give them what they want. And what I want...
Well, we're humans at the end of the day.
Is vulnerability.
There's other stuff going on other than work.
And I haven't actually told you this.
Oh, God.
So we were driving between Alicante, which is like right up in... Well, it's not right up in Spain, but it's further up on the coast of Spain, all the way to Seville. The maps, Google Maps said it was a 7-hour drive. We were like, lovely, 7 hours. We'll set off at 10, be there by 5. Gorgeous. We'll hit, you know, aperitivo hour, whatever. Got to the car place, the hiring place. And the guy was like, oh, we've got you a lovely car. It's an electric for your 500. And I was like, oh, fun. And he was like, where are you driving? Zippy. And he was like, where are you driving? And I went to Seville and he was like, oh, like in Spanish, very far, very far. And I was like, yeah, I know, very, very far. And I went, how long's the range on this? What's the range? And he was like, 300 kilometres. And I was like,
as in like for the charge?
How far can we get on this charge?
Right.
I was like, 300 kilometres. I was like, all right, okay. I can't remember the route, but it was like all we would have needed to do if it was fully charged now was one other charge and then we'd get there. Lovely. That was a lie. So started the journey. We hadn't even gotten out of the ring around Seville and the red light's going on and Jonathan's going, the red light's gone on. And I'm like, is it because we are too heavy for the car and we've used more electricity? Or
is that a thing?
And I was like, or is it the luggage? Like, what do you mean? And he was like, it's gone down. Did you know that you have to pay? Don't laugh, but I didn't know. Do you know that you have to pay to charge your car? Like you would at a petrol station.
Yeah, but you know why I only know this recently? Because we borrowed an electric car. And I was like, oh, you just plug it in anywhere, surely. And then Chris was like, no, you have to like, I don't know how it works. Too.
But instead, Jonathan was like, well, obviously, because it's not going to be free electric. And I was like, well, not obvious, because I did think that this was a really smart move because we were going to have free fuel until we got to Seville. And he was like, no, we've got to obviously charge it every whatever.
God, I hope there's a lot of charging points in Spain. No. Oh, okay.
One charge is what we thought we needed. 6 charges.
Just to get out of Seville.
Every 50 kilometres, we would then have to sit for an hour. So every 50 kilometres was sat for an hour, and halfway through I'm like, I could feel my blood pressure. I was just like, I can't, this is ridiculous. Jonathan was like, we've been driving like 6 hours and we've basically getting the equivalent of like 2 hours away. And I was like, I'm going to call them. We need to drive. We're going to drive to Granada. I'm going to swap the car. I'm like, is that dude?
That senor must not.
We must have left me being like, stupid fools. So off we plod. I was like, I'm starving. Before we kick off, let's go. And we found what I can only describe as like one of them places that look like a kind of American motel. Tumbleweed should almost be going past it when you pull in. And I was like, oh, we're going to have to eat there. There was nothing. We were like in the middle of mainland Spain, but like in the mountains. So I was scared about getting bad. Didn't want to get a bad tummy. So I was like, I'll just get a cheese sandwich. Like,
You can't get a bad tummy off a cheese sandwich. Can you?
you can.
You can.
So I
Of course you can.
finished well, actually, I knew there was something not right with the sandwich to begin with because I couldn't eat it. And I thought, oh, that cheese feels very warm. I don't know if cheese should be warm. Not
Well,
warm,
only
so it had
unless
been
it's
warmed up like
in a
camembert warm
toasty.
because it had been sitting in the sun. And I was like, everything just felt a bit off. And I was like,
a bit sweaty.
it was sweaty. So I had a bit of the cheese sandwich and was like, oh, Jonathan, I don't think I can finish that. And he was like, okay, he had a couple of croquettes, off you will. Charge finished. And then I was like, we need to drive this car now to Granada to swap it. Because we still had another like 8 hours to go. So at this point, we were going to arrive at like
16
midnight.
hours in your car.
In this tiny Fiat 500. Jess bent over, crippling pains. I got 10 minutes down the highway and I literally was like, oh my God. And I had to pull in off the motorway into someone's sort of vineyard estate, olive grove, whatever.
A finca.
But remote, a finca, remote. And I was violently unwell. Violent. I won't say it. I'm not going to say it.
Oh, God.
I'm not going to say it. Violently unwell.
Oh.
I was crying, saying it's the cheese sandwich. There was flies. I had to be outside because I was obviously so ill, not in the car. So I was sweating. Me top, I was sodden. And I just thought, I've got a call this afternoon. Like, I'm so ill. This cheese sandwich absolutely me up.
And you were on someone's
I could have had
drive.
the chicken escalope or whatever it's called. I could have had,
you probably would have
I could
been all
had the
right.
flipping sweaty lasagna, but I had the cheese sandwich thinking it was the
You
safe
made you
option.
you're sick
And I was so
thinking of it.
ill. Jonathan, bless his heart, you know, the angel that he is, he was like fanning us down. He's pouring water on me neck. I was so bad. I was so crippled over in pain that I then just had to, he then had to take over the driving to get to the next destination. And I was just lay flat panting like a flipping wild dog in Thailand on the, just violent. And that chaos is actually like, I've felt on edge the rest of the day.
I was going to say, I feel like that's traumatic for a year.
So I've had enough of that. I'm not doing cheese sandwiches and I'm not pulling in at the side of things and I'm not driving an electric car again.
I think that's absolutely fair and valid. Please say you had some calm to follow.
Do you know what?
When you got to the destination, please say you had a nice time.
Praise be, we got to the most beautiful hotel. And actually, by the time I got there was nothing left in me, Jess. So I was actually good to go. I was like, where are we going for dinner? But the 7.5 hours to get there was really hard. It was hard.
Yeah, I mean, I'm laughing. I feel for you.
I was not well. So that's running a business. I missed the call, obviously.
I was going to say.
Yeah, I think I don't even know if I had anything in this to tell you. I just said, I'm not joining.
Yeah, that's fine. But as you should.
As you
We're
should.
co-founder, you don't need any.
What about you?
Not as chaotic as yours. I was going to tell you about the wedding gift that you got us. Now,
They say it got you.
I thought this was going to be my moment of calm for the week. Chris and I don't get out much. It's nice to go. Take a step back. The gift was a dining experience.
Keynote being experience.
An experience. And I thought, oh, lovely. They booking in some time for us to go as a couple, to go for a lovely romantic meal.
Ever so nice.
So nice. Thank you so much. So thoughtful. The experience, though, was dining in the dark. They I actually thought, when I first got open the gift, I was like, oh my God, this is so lovely. I love About Time. They go dining in the dark. And you've not seen the film, but the couple meet, they go dining in the dark, and then they come outside and they basically fall in love. And like, it's this.
Oh, ever so nice.
And I was like, oh, it's linked. I love that film. Chris loves it. Let's go dining in the dark. Didn't really think about it. I was more thinking about Chris and I going for dinner. Lovely. Because, dress up, put my nice top on, do my hair.
Of course you did.
Did I need to? Because we were dining in pitch black. Pitch black. And when I say, like, if you try and imagine the universe before it existed, like you can't, your eyes are open, but there's nothing. There's no, yeah. So all your senses are heightened. See when you're in there. And
that's actually not very sexy, is it?
It's not so sexy because you're actually just on edge for like 2 hours because you can't see anything. And you're kind of going, if I wanted to get out right now, I couldn't.
So who's feeding you then?
you've got to feed yourself. Can I also note that Chris also isn't the most adventurous eater, so I had to try everything before he ate it. So I'd be like, all right, I'm eating the thing on the right now. Oh, no, just spilt that down my lovely white trousers. And he's like, right, okay, oh, should we do a cheers? Oh no, that's a drink gone. Like, even the
Because it's like high-class food, right?
the food was lovely. Like, when you could navigate getting it on the spoon, because they're like, oh, you should have a spoon with this. And I'm like, okay, what am I trying to like spoon up? I don't know. Actually, when you're not seeing your food and you're just trying to taste something, God knows what you're eating. Half things I was like, yeah, that's chicken. That's chicken. Don't worry, Chris, you'll like that one. That's chicken. He's eating sucking on a prawn.
Some sort of like kangaroo arse. Oh no. And also you could get anything in Asia because they do eat like mad stuff in comparison to what we eat here.
It was all very, actually, apart from a few things like the sweet dishes, it was all very like Italian. Oh, actually, no, I'll tell you one thing that was another chaotic aspect of it. No music. Where's the vibe? But it's so the waiters and waitresses can hear because they're blind. And that's the whole experience, because actually it doesn't really matter for them that it's dark because they can't see anything. And it's actually all really a good cause and everything to, you know, work for them and everything. But 2 minutes in, a whole plate of food on the floor. Chris and I spent the whole rest of the evening resting against the wall so we didn't get anything down our back.
Happy honeymoon.
Honestly, we were like, we couldn't even get out of this room if we tried.
That sounds chaotic. I'm sorry, we really thought it was going to be like dining in the dark, like, oh, sexy, like, like honeymoony type dinner.
Kind of like low lighting almost. So actually, you know, a bit of hand holding, that kind of thing. Oh, we're holding for our dear lives.
Holding on for your life, debating whether you're going to get a snail, a prawn, a piece of chicken or a pork cutlet.
Oh, or a glass of wine down your back.
Sorry about that.
No.
What was the calm?
It was an experience.
When it was
getting
over.
out. Getting out. You good? You good? Yeah? Nah, my jeans, they'll wash.
So, Jess, the big brief for us today. We've got the giggles. We need to rein it in. It's great getting the giggles though, isn't it? Sometimes when you're just like, I'm running on giggle.
Oh, when you used to be at school and you'd get the giggles and your body would
just
shake
be crying,
just crying.
Keep it in. Amazing. Partnerships, trust and turning friendship into shared vision. So we've talked a lot about building a business, but this one's different. This is about building with someone, your BFF.
Yeah. And they say only works because we do it. It's built on trust, it's built on honesty and friendship that can survive the pressure, feedback, and a few too many late night calls.
Too many. We wanted to do this podcast episode because people always ask how we make it work. And people sometimes go, they always ask. We actually do. We often get asked how you mix friendship with business without losing kind of either along the way. And when we reached out to people on social, this came up a lot.
So today we're talking about what really matters to us, how to build it with your best friend, how to keep that balance, how to keep it honest, and how to keep it fun.
Always keep it fun.
So AL.
Yes.
We've talked about how it's all started, but when was the moment for you, or the moment that you realised that you wanted to bring me on as a co-founder with that they say?
The moment I realised I wanted to bring you on was probably before I knew that you wanted to be on. I think I knew I had the digital expertise, I had the commercial expertise, I had the network, and I had the skill set to build a business and create it. What I didn't have was the creative side. And I knew that to build a business that was focused on creative meets digital, I could have brought someone in to do that creative side. But I thought it's a much easier model and it's a much easier proposition if we truly are creative and digital. So at the time, I was debating like, who am I going to bring in? And before I even knew you were interested, I was speaking to a really good friend of mine who's a creative director in another agency. And he was like, I think you should just do it on your own. Like, you should just do it on your own. Da, da, da. And I thought about it, but like, if I'm still thinking about it, for me, I'm a big gut person.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm still thinking about it. And I think I want a creative entity. And now when I think about the amount of work that's come with running this business, doing it completely alone would have been pretty hard. And a lot of people do it and power to them. But the moment that I then knew it was you was actually the moment that we spoke about in the first episode, I think, where we were out for dinner with the guys and Chris brought it up as a bit of a joke. But I think it was actually the next day when we were then sat together and I was like, are you serious? And we did the whole, what do you want? And then I thought, oh, shit. And then we actually had an agreement drawn up very shortly after that for you to become
that was
a shareholder and
a great
and
exercise for
co-founder.
us to do that literally on the first coffee when we were talking about being like, what did we actually want? And not even just in life almost. Like it was bigger than just work. It was going, how do you see, working now? Like we were in very different spaces and seasons, as we say in our life. But
different seasons.
We had that very honest conversation. And you could be because we were already friends. We already had that trust. So it wasn't like, you're going into a job interview or, where you're going, oh, I need to look good. You could just be very frank with.
We were so frank.
Yeah.
But I think, because what I really want people to get out of this as well, I mentor a couple of people, and I know you not indirectly do, but informally do as well. And I think we get asked a lot, particularly by gals. There's two types of people that I think come to us a lot to ask us things. Either people that are from our previous jobs that want to be like, oh, can I come and work with you? It's like, I want to get involved, blah, blah, blah. How do I do it? What does that look like? Blah, blah, blah. A lot of blahs there. And actually, no, I'm trivialising the blah, blah because they ask really interesting questions. It's like, how do we get to be part of it? Or what kind of projects do you work on and so on? And then there's the other group of people which are genuinely at the tipping point of their already very successful careers and are sort of deciding whether they want to do their own thing.
Yeah, take the leap.
Yeah.
Because it is a leap.
And they're deciding whether we've had a few conversations like that. They're deciding if they want to do their own thing and become a collaborator and work with us, or start their own business, or become an entrepreneur, or coach, or whatever they want to do. And it's always about like, how did you start? And I think we didn't have business mentors. I had Emma, who I've talked about briefly before, Emma Vincent, who was kind of like a spiritual guidance career coach, but a proper business coach we didn't have. We didn't know anything, Jess. Really.
Yeah, it wasn't like there was like, here's the map of what you need to do. It was, it felt very like, okay, let's go. And what do we do first? Like you're Googling as you go. You're going.
It was a Google as you go. And this was pre-ChatGPT and all of this. So like, it was literally like, I remember when we then eventually decided, I think what would be useful to people is to break down how we literally started the business. Yeah. Because I even get asked like, but how do you even start getting paid? Like, and you're just like, God, it is a minefield. But the very, very first thing we did was we did our shareholder agreement and we got that legally boxed off and decided how many days a week you were going to work and how many days a week, well, obviously full time, but you had the girls, and then what our shares were going to be. We sort of touched on, would we ever sell the company? Do we want to do this forever? We kind of aligned on all those things.
And we touched, I think, with the selling down the line and, where's the future of the business? That was what we didn't know because things can change. We still don't. But it was still going, let's just get something out there on paper. Because if one person's very much like, oh no, I want to sell next year, that's my vision. And
exactly.
One's going, no, I want this to be my family, company for the next. I'm feeding this down to, Ada's taking over next 10 years.
I mean, she would look exactly like you, so we could probably pop her in there.
Just swap her, get her in the next episode.
She would totally take over. And then the next immediate thing was then we actually started with branding because we already knew, I already knew the model, didn't I? I already had that. We then started with branding and then...
Yeah, I think that was the first place to start because we knew that if we wanted to go out into the real world and start talking to clients and collaborators, we had to have something. It couldn't just be Jess and AL on email. Like it had to be...
We had to
have our signature and we had to have a deck. I think the deck was like a huge thing to sort of...
Jess, we spent 3 months on that deck.
I mean, it's still great.
It's still great, yeah. I'm very proud of it. And we get a lot to this day, don't we? Going, oh my God, what a beautiful deck. What a well-rounded deck. How well communicated. But look, it's less about this and it's more about building the business, I think, which is... That was number one. And then number two was, of course, setting up the physical company. And we decided to set up as a limited company. Although it's all set up, specifically by some proper accountants and whatever now. So, but like to the very much start with, you don't need an accountant. You can pop on company's house. You check that you can use the name. whatever, and
Yeah,
off
we
you
got all
pop.
the handles. We, did
Yeah,
all
well, we
those
bought
checks.
all. I'd done them, I think, already, but like, yeah, we'd bought all of our URLs, all of our domains, our TikTok, our Instagram, our LinkedIn. We just made sure we got all of that. Then we did trademarking, and we trademarked the name, and we also trademarked the logo.
I think actually that's a big thing that people don't necessarily always think of. They go, oh, I need to, I spend months and weeks going over what's the name going to be. And
some buggers already bought it. Well, not bought
but
it,
actually, yeah, it can get that far down the line. It goes to getting your handles and your domain names and everything.
This has just happened to us with a very big client.
Exactly. And it's not
where they didn't.
They've gone, yes, this is, we've done all the checks. Yeah, we want this one. This is the name that we're going
developed
with.
a full brand, and then they found out it's in the wrong class in the trademark. So
it is something to think about when you're setting up. Like, do your research. Are there other companies out there that have got a similar name? Are they in similar verticals? Are they doing, Yeah,
definitely check it out and do a competitive analysis early on. Like, because there will pretty much always be something that you're creating, unless you are literally an inventor of something.
Yeah,
the wheel back in when it was invented. But it's all about it's either, I think Amy Rollins, oh no, was it Io? No, Io in one of the earlier episodes talked about this, about either you go into a space and create something better in it, or you find white space. But there's pretty much always something going on. And a creative and digital studio actually a creative studio is definitely not new, but digital studio isn't new. The way we blend creative and digital is probably quite contemporary, and it's maybe different. And so I think another big part of building the business was really looking at what other people were doing, what we wanted to do differently, but also what we wanted to do that was consistent with other offerings, because you also need to make sure that you're giving people what they want, and you're not just deciding that you think they want something.
Yeah. There's
really
a market
innovative.
for it.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah,
we needed to make some money at the end of the day. Yeah.
And then they are the big meaty bits. Oh, and the legal stuff.
Yeah. Oh. And I think that is something that we're like, look, we're not in professionals in this. We know where to spend our money in the early, or we didn't know, it worked out in the end. But like, this is where we need some help. We need support, and this is where we're going to spend the money because it will pay off later. Hopefully it has. Great. We got all our ducks in a row in that sense, rather than getting, going, oh, we'll just budget for a bit, and then you never get to it. And we've had scenarios where thank God for the contracts, and thank God for the
frisbee to the contract. And I've actually recommended, I get a lot of messages through one of the WhatsApp groups we're in, the Marketing Collective, and I get a lot of messages directly from people saying like, oh, what lawyers did you use? And I recommend them a lot, because I do think that is, in fact, I think that's way more important than we ever thought. But we've bootstrapped the whole business. We don't have investors. We've grown significantly the last couple of years, and a lot of that money has gone into things like legal and finance and ops and building back-end AI systems that work in a good tech stack. But that would be another big bit of advice, would be like, figure out that now, figure out your back office now. Don't create this amazing offering and then grow to the point that you then have got this big piece of ugly spaghetti in the back end that you can't fix, and nobody knows what they're doing, and there's no systems. And we absolutely have still got so much to learn, and we're still growing and building, but we'll run a fairly tight ship now, but it's taken some serious learning to get there.
And I think at first when you're starting up a company, you do have to put cash behind things. You do have those initial outgoings that you're going, and we had to have those conversations. How much do we want to put in at this point? Because we're not making any money.
I remember what did we first put in?
I can't remember.
It was something tiny. It was like, we'll put 150 quid each in the bank account.
Oh, yes. We set up a bank account. That was also...
We set up a bank... Oh, yeah, set up your bank account. Make sure it's in both of your names. Make sure that your shareholder stuff is all logged properly. When you set up your company on Companies House, it asks for the shareholders and the percentage of shares and everything anyway. But yeah, set up your bank account.
And then we did, probably 150 quid.
And it was... I don't even know what it was to buy.
It was probably, I don't know what now.
God knows.
Squarespace, something like that?
Probably some sort of... Yeah, it was probably to buy some techie bits to get set up, but... Yeah, then the costs got higher, and we then had to we were just invested ourselves, and then got to a point where then obviously the business was making enough money to invest instead of just us all the time. But yeah, for a long period of time, like, the business owed us a lot of money. But it doesn't really work like that, does it, when it's your own? But do we want to talk about the hard conversations?
Yeah, I think we should. But
I don't want to. Everything's positive always. No, we should talk about the hard conversation.
no, because I think as friends as well, like even in friendships, you go through times where you don't necessarily agree on things, and that's fine, that's natural. But when you've gone from friendship to work mode, you're getting to know each other in a different space entirely. And yes, we worked together many moons ago, but we were in completely different teams. So it wasn't like we were working
we were
that
definitely more
closely.
friends than colleagues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just happened that we worked at the same place type thing. And we knew what each other did, but we didn't, have to feed back on each other's work even. Like it wasn't that close. But I think, getting to know each other in a work mindset is a very different thing. Understanding expectations of each other, understanding what you're good at versus what I'm good at, and working all those things out, because you can't be good at everything. We're two completely different human beings.
What are you talking about?
You can. But I'm definitely
Speak
not.
for yourself, girl. No, of course not. No,
But,
we're definitely not good at everything. That's also why we use collaborators. Like, that's the beauty of it. Everyone's amazing at their thing and we're amazing at our thing.
Yeah. But we did have to have a tricky conversation in a WeWorks
What
early
was the
days.
do we want to share the content of that conversation?
We can.
Makes me feel awkward.
What
Do
are
you
you
think
going to
I
share?
don't
What are
like
you
it?
going to share? No, I don't. I think you have to have the we have to share.
Yeah, we do. I think I was the I was going to say the perpetrator, but that's the wrong word. Instigator. I was the instigator of this conversation.
And I just got back from the UK. I remember that.
You just got back from the UK.
We'd not seen each other for 2 weeks or maybe 3.
Yeah. We'd been building the business, but we hadn't fully gone ham at this point, but we'd been building the business. And we spent 6 months building the go-to-market plan before we took on our first client, really.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think that's, just to touch on that, that's not a perfection. Like that's not trying to get it perfect to go to market. It's just trying to get
no, if
work
anything,
it
we spent
out.
too long. I would actually say we probably spent too long before we made money.
Yeah.
Because we were striving, if we're being really honest, to be perfect. But I think the lesson in that, and that I would so want other people, is like, just get it out the door and then you can refine it. So in the early days, when it's just us,
Yeah.
to go back to the difficult conversation, yes, I brought it to you that I was like, I didn't feel like you were in it. And I was so upset. And we were sat at this time, we'd maybe been running the business for 6 to 8 months or something. We did have clients, but it was smaller fry at this point. But I was so in. It was literally I'd left me business. I'd left my previous job. I was like 100% in. You'd already handed your notice in. You weren't going back from your other job. So I knew that you were serious, but I was just like, you were so hard to get hold of in the UK. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, you're running a business, you can't. And I know how quick I am at just things. I'm just very quick at things. And I had this fierce intuition that it was going to be successful. And I sort of didn't want anything to delay that. And so when you got back from the UK, I think I was just holding all of this, not anger at all, intense frustration that I didn't feel like you were in it as much as me. And it sort of then all came to a head, didn't it? And like, not in a bad way. I was more emotional than anything. And I was like, I'm so serious about this. And you need to be as in as me or this can't work. And I sort of gave you a free pass, didn't I? I was like, if you don't want to be a co-founder anymore, like, this is your time, but I'm gone. And you were like, you fully got it. You were like, I totally get why you think that. Whoopsie. You were like, I totally get why you think that. And these are the reasons that it happened. And these are the reasons that this went on. But that was a really important conversation for us.
Yeah. I think it was, because I think it was realizing that there's two people in this company, business, and we've been very different seasons, which we hadn't really taken into account properly before. I think we'd gone like, oh yeah, you're doing this, and you've got kids, and you know, Johnny and I are doing this. Just on a friend level, you've not really then dissected it enough to go, or we'd not dissected it enough to go, you know, what is your capacity? And when you're at home, what does that look like? And if you're off, what does it look like for you? And when will you be responding to an email? Or when will you, you know, for example, we all know that you're very quick, but also I have children at home that need me when I'm at home. I'll have to get to either I want to respond to the email or not. I can't really, unless I go, look, everyone, fuck off for a minute. I need the space because I need to get back to something urgent. which obviously I can do, but navigating that on early days was difficult, I think.
Totally.
To go like, oh, these are very young kids and I'm coming back to visit family and is this a holiday? I don't know if it is. And even expectations of family going, oh, you're working for yourself now. Oh, that's all lovely. Like, you can do what you like. And you're like, no, but if I'm saying that I'm on a work call, I'm actually on a work call.
You
Like,
had this a lot.
Like,
Yeah.
not. Oh,
I didn't have that.
I'm just getting some.
It was hard.
I'm just
for
getting
you.
some pants in the in the background. I'm like, I don't think anyone understands that, or taking this seriously even, which was it left me in a very frustrated place when I was visiting home because I couldn't be doing what I wanted to be doing, which was growing or building the business with you. So I think you were wanting me to come back so we could have this conversation. I always wanted to get back so I could get back in it.
Yeah.
Like we were, because we were in a good. I feel like we were in a good rhythm before. Like when we were both on the same time zone, and we were meeting up every other day or most days. At least for an hour to just touch base. Harper would be with us in the pram half the time, but we were in a rhythm, and that rhythm had gone, and we hadn't really thought about how that when we're not in the same time zone, when we're not together, how does it work?
But I think that's why I was really proud of myself because I hate confrontation, actually. I'm absolutely happy to get up in someone's face if they're like pushing me on the tube. But as like people that I love hate confrontation. And I was just like...
I think it wasn't... when you say confrontation, it felt like an argument. Yeah. That sounds like an argument. Sorry, but I feel like it was just a difficult...
No, it was a confronting conversation. Yeah. I don't like anything like that with people that I love. And in that moment, because this episode's really about friendship and how we balance that, I thought, I need to come at this as a friend. And me friend thingy was... I would just need to tell her how I'm feeling and then see how she feels. And I think it was a really good conversation. We came off the back of that with a plan. I fully understood like your sort of boundaries for work life. And I would say, if anything, I'm the one now that comes to you and I'm like, Jess, why are you taking calls at night?
Yeah.
Or, Jess, I'm like trying to enforce those boundaries for you because I know that they can sometimes trickle over.
I think the key takeaway for me, and I think probably for you and hopefully listeners too, would be we had to have that difficult conversation, and I'm so grateful that actually it was so early on, so we could realise that yes, we do approach any difficult situation moving forward friendship first, because actually it could have ended very differently. It could have been like, oh, what? Why are you getting at me? Why do you think this? If it was defensive, but it wasn't. It was very much kindness. This is how I'm feeling. This is how I'm feeling. Oh, tears maybe. Yes, tears definitely. And now we know how to navigate them. So if anything comes off, oh, were you a bit short on a call then? Or, oh, I felt a bit funny when you said that.
We're very good at this
We're
now.
We're really good at it. And it can literally be oh, that's nipped.
Yeah.
And it's very rare, but I think we know.
We could count on one hand, couldn't we? How many times we've
I
had
think
a
maybe
nip?
3.
But yeah, less. Where I'm like, Jess, you've just given me sass on that call and I didn't do anything wrong. And you'd be like, I did actually. Well, it's because of this. And I'm like, okay, great. At least that's done. So the key takeaway is definitely over communicate, friendship first, and definitely have the difficult conversations much earlier than you think you're going to need them.
Yeah.
Assume that whatever you think that niggle is, it's going to get bigger.
Yeah. Or even forecast, be like, oh, what could be a hard time in, building this? Yeah. What happens if you're ill for a couple of weeks? Or what happens if, you've got visitors in town? Or what happens if you almost just have to have, at the time you can laugh at them and go, oh, well, no, of course we're not. But like, take them seriously. Like 100%. If there's anything that you might be a bit worried about, like, oh, what happens if we're not living on the same country anymore?
We did have this one. Right, quick fire. Best part of the show. They say, we say.
Okay, you ready?
We don't have a jingle, but it's coming. Go on then. Go on.
They say, we say.
Lovely.
Dun, dun.
And we didn't need to pay for that, so that's great. We'll use that one. It's where we take the cliches, the myths, the mantras, the people love to throw around, the theys of the world. Sometimes they're great, sometimes they're not so great. Let's see what all these people are popping off about. So,
okay, I'm going to start.
Right.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. They say don't mix friendship with business. What do you say?
Unless you are going to communicate, don't. Yeah, if you are not, no, I mean that. No, if you are not naturally a good communicator, or if you can already tell that you will struggle to have conversations with said friend, please do not bother. They will not be said friend after a year. You've got to communicate. You've got to talk, have the awkward conversations. Also sometimes have the beyond awkward, almost the like very formal conversations that you need to have when you're running a business about money and shares and hate it, but we have to do it. Yeah.
And also I would, on the back of that,
no, you're not allowed to smack.
on the back of that, I'd say you couldn't do it with all your friends. Do you know what I mean? Just because you've got a friendship.
Totally not.
Like you have to either balance each other out, or you have to have that trust that you can have those conversations.
Totally not. I actually would say I would do 99% of my friends' heads in as a business partner, but there's a few percentage that I wouldn't, and you're one of them, so it's perfect. And vice versa. Yeah. There's loads of my best friends who I adore but could not work with. And that's the beauty. That's it's not meant to be. Okay. Jess, you ready?
Yeah.
They say great partnerships are built on trust. What do you say?
I think I just answered the question before.
You did.
Sorry, I didn't mean to jump, but yeah, 100% trust. It's a trust exercise every day.
Every day.
And I think, not that you couldn't trust your friends. Hopefully they wouldn't be your friends if you couldn't trust them. But you have to give so much to each other, and you have to be so empathetic and understanding. You have to be able to have the difficult conversations and then hug it out at the end, and then, go, this is happening in my marriage at the moment. Can you pick up a call, and can you do, like, it's a complete trust exercise, which I feel like we're doing pretty well at.
you are just throwing your like ambition to someone else.
Yeah.
It's like you're saying, this is something I really want to build. Can I trust you entirely to build it with me? Like, it's a lot. Okay, your go.
Okay. They say opposites attract.
That's cute. I didn't read these before.
Me neither.
That's sweet. Yes, they do.
Yeah.
We are connect. We are opposites. But you know what? And this is always how I find me people, is we have the same sense of humour. So people that are the opposites of me, I feel like if you find the same things funny, they're usually still gonna be me people. And I feel like we've always kept that. We just always keep humour as part of our work day.
Yeah, we laugh every day.
We laugh every day. We're always winding each other up. We're always torturing each other. We're always like laughing at the same things, or finding the same things that are actually like sometimes disturbing, hilarious. Like, I think that's how, but we're so opposite. I feel like the true essence of yin and yang. Yeah. And I'm not saying to any other business owners that it won't work if you're not opposites, that like everything can work, of course, with the right approach. But I feel like where I have abundance of high energy, that can sometimes be a lot. I never use the word a lot because I don't think that's right, sorry, but that can appear to some people, and that's on them, to be a lot, where you can really help stage energy out and like stagger it in a certain way for certain clients, where I'm like, you call me like a master salesperson. You actually prefer to be the observer and take the notes and capture where we move next. So where I like am very good with words and language, you're very good with images and brand and design. So I feel like we have really tag team, not just in our skill sets, but our personalities. Do you agree?
Yeah, 100%. I think Emma, we shout out to Emma all the time, but she really helped us work out that our strengths, our differences, or are our strengths. Mm-hmm. And that's almost like makes us more powerful together. It is.
Jess, they say laughter fixes everything. What do you say?
I feel like we're answering the questions before we get to the questions, but 100%. It can get heavy sometimes.
It can get heavy.
It's tiring, and there's a lot going on.
Have a laugh.
When you're learning all the time anyway, like every day is a school day, like we say all the time, like we're like, oh, well, that's a lesson. Like,
didn't see that one coming.
You're either going to laugh or you're going to cry.
And I remember the time when I lost us a lot of money when we very first started opening. Well, I didn't lose it, sorry. A client probably indirectly stole it from us, really, but because we got the invoice wrong. Yeah. Or I got the invoice wrong in one of our first invoices, and it was several £1,000s, and I was heartbroken, wasn't I? Yeah. And you were like, who cares? You were like, at that point, I was running the whole business alone, didn't have any accountants or anything, and you were like, if that's the only mistake you've made, who cares? And I feel like in that moment, that was amazing, because if it was on my own, I would have just tortured myself. Yeah. Probably just liquidated the company and gone to bed. Jess.
But, okay, yeah.
Sorry, no.
No, I was going to say off the back of that, it does make it easier to having two of us some days. You know, when there's I can fuck up, you can fuck up, but that's like we can, or you can have a down day, I can have a down day, you know, where you're just feeling off, where you're just like, I just don't know what I'm doing anymore.
Or like when it's a joint mess, it's lovely, isn't it? Like, let's
joint
just
mess,
both be an absolute clip together.
Let's revel in that.
Yeah.
And we'll have a laugh about it.
You needed it right. Last one.
Okay.
Pick.
They say boundaries keep friendships safe. What do you say?
Yes. We definitely had to set these early on. Because I think if it wasn't for the boundaries that we set, more so for you actually, but if it wasn't for the boundaries we set around your life, it would have definitely irritated me and it would have impacted our friendship. Where I think we set them very early on, we nailed it. I set boundaries around. My big thing is like, just because I don't have kids doesn't mean that I'm not allowed to set boundaries for what's important to me, which for me is me marriage. So I love spending time with my husband. He's an incredibly important part of me day-to-day life. So that's what I carve my time out for, is for him. And so if you take your time off for kids, I take my time off that. And that dynamic might change when I've got a family. But yeah, absolutely, 100%. I'm going to move on to our final bit now, which is your say, which is where we answer your questions. So we went out on social. We had some lovely responses, some quite hectic questions, which I think we'll have to deal with in the rest of the season. But we actually got this question, almost the exact same wording several times, which is, how do you manage to keep your friendship when you have a disagreement at work?
Oh, a disagreement. Okay.
We don't really have
disagreements so much. I think if we rephrase it to more misalignment, maybe a better example would be, well, we're different people. So we could think, for building a brief, for example, or a pitch, I could think, you know, one route, you could think another route. Or I could think, you know, this person would be great for the team. You could think this person would be great for the team. And we just have to communicate. I think the communication is key throughout this episode, to be honest. And I think you have to understand why the other person thinks that and why the other person thinks one way versus the other. And once we do that, we sort of, it's one route becomes a bit more of a natural route. Like, oh yeah, I didn't really think about it that way. Yeah, you know, your route does make sense. I think it's understanding each other that way. Because I think, yeah, everyone can have misalignments and think one thing. We're not carbon copy of each other. That's the beauty of it. And that's why it works well together a lot of the time, because we're bringing two, you know, sides of the story together.
I think that's bang on. I would say we don't really disagree much at all in terms of like a work, like I want to do this and that. That's just not our vibe. But
do you think they think that we do?
But maybe people do. I don't know what people think.
Every day.
No, we don't really, do we? But I would say where I think that, to answer this question, is completely with you on the creative thing, is because you're creative director, I naturally take your lead a lot. But I've also ran brand campaigns for many years. So I also have a view and an opinion. And sometimes that's different to yours. And that's often when it's like, God, do we go with the commercial or do we go with the design? And it's like, oh, we need to find the middle ground. And then you might be like, okay, but this is why. So it's very much like, you just tell us why and I tell you why.
A bit of a
Sometimes
rationale.
we go away.
I was just going to say,
and then
I
we
think
come back,
I always
don't we?
need a bit of the space to go,
Space
like,
and grace.
Let me think about it, even if it's an hour. You know, sometimes you haven't got the beauty of time to be like, can we sleep on it and think about it and come back to it tomorrow? If you can, great. But if you do, let's take it offline. Let me have a bit of a think, and then we'll regroup. Like, let's come back.
That's
to
the
this.
friendship side of us, though. Is like, we're clearly not figuring this out. We're stopping. We're gonna come back.
Space and grace.
Space and grace.
Okay, I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
Where are the boundaries between business and pleasure? So obviously we're very good friends.
Yeah.
And we work together every day. I think this question is referring to how do we balance that so we're not just always having a laugh. I mean, we all have a laugh.
We are
but,
always having a laugh.
We're not always.
I would actually argue you are very good at reining us into next. I think I could, to a lot of people on the outside that don't know us, there could be a lot of assumptions made, I think, about our business relationship. The obvious ones, which people are quick to judge, you know, oh, well, EL's loud and so she must be this, and oh, Jess is quiet. That's actually a load of shit, really. I've seen you on and you absolutely can be popping right off if you're not happy with something. You're a very good leader. You're very patient. You give very clear directions. And so as a boundaries thing between business and pleasure, I think I let we both let each other be ourselves at work. We don't try and like change another person or try and be a certain way. And then that means that the friendship side comes through naturally because we're always having fun because we're not trying to make each other not have fun.
Yeah.
Like we're not, I just think you've got to.
Well, we know each other on a friendship level, so we know the ticks and we know you know, that's how they work. They let them.
Let them. Mel Robbins, let them.
Yeah.
I've read that book.
No, I haven't, but.
No, I think that is actually what the book is, just let them. So I thought, do I need to read it or just
Yeah, I feel
let
like
them?
I've heard a lot of podcasts on it.
So I'm just going to let them and read another book. But I think to answer the question very specifically, because I've sort of went the scenic route there, is the boundary is set by treating you like a friend first. So even in a business sense, you're still a friend, and I know how serious you are about work. I know how on it you are. I know how organised you are. And you keep us, if I'm about to go on a tangent about flipping going on a business trip to Tanzania, you'll be like, right, let's just come back and finish this deck. And I'm like, yes, let's do that. So you're very good at that.
I think also thank you. That was very nice. Nice things that you said there. But I think also we book in human time.
We do book in human time.
Like literally
it's pink in our
calendar.
Diaries.
Yeah, like to be like, because it can be a work week, and you need the time to have that human friendship, you know.
You do.
I mean, it was a lot easier on the same
time zone.
Country, so we could actually go out and do something. But still,
we drank a lot of matcha.
Oh, we did.
We did a lot of spritzing in that big store. All the perfumes. We must have been lifting.
But and that was great human time. So you get that friendship time back. So you're going, we're not talking about work today. And even before every heavy day, or like we've got a lot of meetings today, but we check in with each other in a human level first.
We do. How are you?
How are you? Like, actually, how are you? Not just like, are you all right?
And we do answer.
Thing. And then we know the tone for the rest of the day, because we're like, actually, you might need a bit more support today, or you know, you've not slept because you know Harper's been up teething again. How many teeth? How many teeth does a child need?
How many?
A lot.
A lot. 36 teeth.
They're just teething all the time.
36 teeth.
Teething all the time. So, but you would understand and be like, right, Jess has not slept today. So
yeah, we're very good at that.
We understand. Yeah.
Like if I'm like, just got my period, literally don't want to join this call, I would rather punch myself in the face, and you're like, don't worry, I've got it.
Yeah.
So I think that helps.
Yeah.
That's it.
No.
For this episode of What They Say.
Okay.
Jess, thank you for this one, for being the best partner in business and in everything we've built together. I'm very proud of us.
I'm very proud of us too. Right back at you. Honestly, couldn't do it with anyone else in the world ever. Wouldn't want to. Is that tissues? Okay, we'll wrap it up then. So if you've enjoyed being part of this conversation, follow They Say Studios on Instagram, LinkedIn and TikTok, and tell us what you say. We love hearing your take on things. We love your questions.
We do.
Want more? What else do you want to hear about from us?
I feel like crazy questions. Like I think there is a couple of random ones that come through, but like the next time we do the outreach, like go for it.
Yeah, go on.
I think we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about an IBS attack in the middle of the mountains. We've talked about carrying potties around department stores that I definitely don't think is legal. But yeah.
I'm going to question that now.
Especially in Singapore, I would get that looked right up before you do that again.
Yeah, I'm on camera somewhere. So, don't forget to subscribe wherever you're listening, wherever you're watching. There's plenty more to come.
See you later.
See you.